Good morning. I've got the pleasure of having Shafiq Jamal with us today. Shafiq, tell me a little bit about what Weber Shandwick and what does the firm do? Who are you guys?
Well, thank you, Licky. Weber Shandwick is a global integrated marketing communications firm with 126 offices in 81 countries around the world. And what we do, in essence, is help clients articulate their story and then communicate it in the right channels to the right people at the right time. And in helping them articulate the story, we make sure that that story is authentically connected to their brand promise, to their mission, their vision, and their purpose. Because there's nothing more riskier than taking out a story that is diluted and that has no meaning and that has no purpose. So we help them articulate that why and then help them take that out through a robust communications plan out to their key stakeholders in the marketplace.
That's great. I mean, I love it when you say the why statement. Simon Sinek has done a great job with the why statement. He's got incredible videos on there. A lot of companies, such as ourselves, and we're working with you right now for our story. And I like the fact that when we approached you, you said, let's just simplify who you guys are, what you're about, and what the message is. That's great. Now, one of the things that we've talked about in the past is communication is really important for marketing purposes. I actually feel that communication is even more important when things go wrong. And you need to really make sure you've got a good strategy in place to make the right message go out when things are not right. How do you guys approach that?
Licky, that's such a salient point you've raised. We're living in such a media saturated world these days. We still have traditional media and its influence in the market. But now we've got social media that's come hugely exploded in the last decade or so. Then we have what's called the hybrid media, the Huffington Posts of the world. And then you have your own channels. You know, companies have to factor in their own channels, meaning their websites, their blogs, their video content, etc. And within all these channels, there are so many opportunities where your brand can be impacted that it's all the more reason to ensure that you have taken steps to really build, sustain, and protect your business. And what you highlighted there is a lot of times companies don't really fully fathom the need to be authentic in the channels right off the start, and to ensure that they have a preparedness plan in place so that they can start to respond when something affects their brand. Because in today's day and age, you don't have lots of opportunity, you don't have lots of time. And when I say you don't have lots of opportunity, yes, there are multiple channels, but once your brand starts getting impacted, it can be a real firestorm. And you have to be able to respond in a matter of minutes and hours instead of days.
So your recommendation is to have a plan in place just in case for that.
Absolutely. You must take steps to prepare a communications plan. You know, I know sometimes it feels like it's selling insurance, you know, and a lot of people are like, I don't want to buy insurance necessarily before I need it. The problem with communications is you can certainly engage us and other firms when a crisis hits and when your brand is being impacted. We will, of course, be there for you. But it is highly beneficial if we're able to help you prepare and mitigate, because really you want to ensure you're taking all steps possible to mitigate the reputational impact on your brand prior to a crisis, and then, of course, during a crisis.
So, Shafiq, you say the word crisis, and I want to just make sure that when you say crisis, it could be related to large corporations, but to me, crisis could also be a negative review online about a small restaurant. It's how you respond back to even that small review that could impact you greatly. Is that correct? Am I on the right page there?
Like you're spot on. You know, when we talk about crisis, lots of people do automatically think we're just talking about large corporations. But in today's day and age, everybody can be impacted. Even that, small business owner with a corner store or with a small restaurant. And you're right, in how they address the issues that come at them online is absolutely critical and can be imperative to the growth or the detriment of their business. You have social sites like Yelp, for example, for the restaurant sector. Peer-to-peer reviews have become so much more prevalent. My wife's a Yelper, and a client asked me the other day, and I said, what does that mean? I said, well, she's very active on Yelp. She gets all her restaurant recommendations from persons off of Yelp. So you can imagine, as a small restaurant operator, if you have a negative review that's sitting out there and you have not taken steps to either address that directly with the reviewer or to build your profile online to show all the great things you're doing, then that bad review can impact your business significantly.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about crisis and, mitigating that risk. I want to just make sure that that's important once you actually have your main story out there and who you are as a company. If you don't even have that, the reviews, it's nice to have a plan in place, but I think once your presence is out there, it's a lot more important. So why would a company want to engage with Weber Shandwick? And who would that be? What kind of companies are you looking for?
Thank you, Licky. We represent clients from a whole variety of sectors, from hospitality to corporate to consumer to technology to mining to the agri sector. There's hardly a sector we don't work with clients in. And our model is we're very flexible, we're very adaptable. We will work with a small client right through to a large corporation. Why? Because we're nimble, we're adaptable, and most importantly, we help these companies by empowering them to take charge of their own story. So when you talked earlier about why, the Start with Why, and Seneca, hat off to him, and we've been doing that Start with Why for a long time here at Weber. And by articulating the story first and foremost, it allows us to then determine what the right channels are and where we need to help that client tell that story. And you tweaked into something else there as well. It's not just about telling a story, it's about authentically and incredibly sustaining that story. Because you cannot make one blog post and be done with that. Once you get down the path of communicating, you have to communicate on a regular and ongoing basis so that your brand, there's higher recall, your brand is top of mind, and you're building a value proposition. And all of this then helps if you do get into a crisis situation. All that you have built, all that reputation, goodwill you have built will come in handy and will actually help you mitigate against the negative impact.
That's great, Shandwick. I appreciate it. And, just to end off, I just want to say that the experience we've had working with you and your firm to date has been incredible. It's been professional. You've been very accommodating to us and working within our budgets, working within our time frames as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the end results. So I look forward to it. Shandwick, thanks for your time.
Well, thank you very much, Licky, and I certainly believe a lot in what Dante Group is doing, and I wish you much success in the marketplace.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.